presented his people. I was getting emotional, man. Welcome back, everyone, to the channel. Today, we are discussing an incredible film called Close Up by Abbas Kiarostami.
Incredible is less. Is not an adequate word to describe the beauty, the philosophy behind this whole film.
And it's sort of it blurs the lines between a narrative and a documentary film, because the people that it actually happened to are the actors in the film. So therefore, it adds another layer to it, and
which is so great. Like I didn't see myself watching a film, neither a documentary. It's like I'm in limbo in between because I haven't seen any other film like it.
No, not particularly like this one. I mean, no film blurs the lines, like I said, between the two like this. And so this is your first time seeing it.
Oh yeah.
So I want to hear some initial thoughts.
Well, okay. So about my first time seeing it, I was seeing still shots from the film on Instagram constantly and with the subtitles. And I was just reading the subtitles, and I really enjoyed back then, even then, the meaning behind the words, the beautiful prose that it's put on screen. It's so good. Like I don't know, I have no words. I was thinking this morning, I think this film I'll want to revisit sometime soon, because I want to see certain things again. Beginning is so good. All I can say is that in the beginning, I thought that the journalist was the police.
That is the first thing that I have written down that I wanted to talk to you about, because the first frame says police station, and they're coming out of the police station. He gets in the taxi, and I literally wrote down the reveal that he's a journalist, not a cop, is so well done. And also, Taste of Cherry, just in general, just to mention, also starts with a car ride. So Abbas Kiarostami loves doing this in the beginning of his movies, having people sit in cars. I think
a certified copy from the trailer that we've seen. There's a car scene.
He loves his car talks. But that journalist that sits in the car, this is what I love about the film, and this is why it's one of my favorites, because the film in itself expresses how cinephiles think. So, for example, the journalist in the car, he's telling the driver about all these directors or actors or whatever, to start the film off already thematically talking about what's going to come later. But he's just like us. I mean, we express our obsession about cinema to people, and they might not understand it, just like the driver doesn't understand it. Because he's like, I don't have time to see these movies, but the passenger seat is us. We're like,
you see, we don't go as far as Mr. Sasbian does in impersonating a director.
The farthest we go is
Even Though I Can Be Jack.
And yes.
Oh, there.
Where's rum gone? But that's as far as we take it. But yeah, the beginning car scene, and the iconic thing from this film is the can rolling down the hill.
Yeah, I was watching there's a Criterion Closet video where a guy is talking about Close Up and how he stole that shot with the can rolling down the hill, put it in his film.
We have Close Up, moment where there's this can rolling down a hill and it's just like a little pause. I stole that moment directly from this film.
I like it.
Kiarostami wrote the screenplay, which I always take note of if the director writes their own stuff, because it's different if they don't, obviously. And the title itself, Close Up, I was thinking there's multiple meanings for what this could mean. I wrote down 3. So one is like a report in a magazine, like a close-up of a person, their personality, and having a report, like a thing in the magazine. A second one is a close-up shot of them, like when he's sitting in the courtroom. They literally tell him this is a close-up camera.
And they ask him, "Do you know what that is?" And he was like, "No."
I don't know what that is. I think he said yes first, and then he's like, "No, I don't." And then the third one is seeing his face close up, to see if he's actually the director, who he's impersonating. Those are the 3 things that I thought of.
Well, I was thinking close up, just as you said, about when he's in court and the camera's on him. But then at the end of the film is a close up of to Zasbian.
It all comes full circle eventually.
And this is what I love about the film. This is what I want to highlight. And I think you have this down. I'm speculating. But I love it how it picks up with the journalist, and we go to the house of the person. I'll just say the rich guy, because he's sort of a bourgeois, sort of a
Yeah.
and then we see Mr. Sasbian being escorted out. We go to the courtroom, and then we start the film and we analyze what kind of a character Mr. Sasbian is. And in a sort of a way, in the beginning, he's sort of a rugged person, you know. He's not very rich, doesn't look rich at all, but he's very humble.
Yes.
And then as soon as he starts uncovering the story, we go back, flashbacks. Now he was sitting in the bus with the bourgeois lady, and she was like, "Oh, where'd you get the book from?" He was like, "Well, I got it from like the bookstore. Can you give me the address?" And I was like, "No, you can have it. I wrote the book." I was like, so this is how he says, "I wrote the book," and then we go back and forth between the judge and the judgment. We go back and forth between that and the house, and we see what was his relationship with the bourgeois character and his family. And then the before the very final scene, we see how we come around 360 degrees where we started, and we see the journalist come into the house.
Yeah.
And that's when you realize, oh, this is what we saw in the beginning of the film.
Mm-hmm.
And he's coming with the cops to arrest Mr. Sasbian for impersonating.
Yes, it comes back around, but from a different perspective.
But a different perspective, which I love, because we love those films. Like Tarantino does that, and Kubrick has done that in The Killing. Other directors have done that.
In that scene, since you brought it up, there's a line that he says, "We don't even know what lies 10 minutes ahead," when he's talking about film in general, or like rehearsing or something.
Exactly.
And then it's ironic because in less than 10 minutes, he's going to be arrested.
Exactly.
So it's that play on words and things like that, which is fantastic. Also, why is the cop handcuffing himself to Mr. Sasbian? That was the one thing that I was like,
well, that's how it was maybe in Iran in the 90s. You cuffed yourself, or the 80s, whenever this took place.
You cuff yourself to the
exactly, so he doesn't run away.
But what if he beats you up? Like, okay, whatever. I just thought it was funny. But I love, the best scene for me is when we are on that close-up of him in the court, and it's just like 5 minutes straight of him talking.
I think it's more than 5 minutes.
I think it's got to be more than 5 minutes. But he's talking about what impersonating the director did for him as a person, and that the director that he impersonates, he represents his people. And he says that being this director gave him self-confidence, it gave him attention, and it gave him respect, which is things that people do not give a person of his status normally.
I was going to bring this up, is that the sole reason why he impersonated this director is because this guy came to a point in his life where he wanted to have people under him to listen to him. He wanted to be respected. He wanted to have a title worthy and be proud of that title, being a director. And I love this, because this is a guy who's truly harmless, but deep down psychologically, he's a little bit unstable. And this, playing the director, sort of, I want to think that rehabilitated him to normalcy.
Yeah. Because
once he gets out of the courtroom, and we see, you figure it out, it's the actual director he was impersonating. And you see the director, the guy just starts crying, and he like falls down. Who wouldn't do that? The guy's really sorry about it. For what he has done.
Yeah, and then you meet the actual one.
This is what I'm talking about. Yes.
Out of nothing, out of you trying to be this person, you meet the actual person.
Yes.
Which is such a touching ending to the story, that he's the one who brings them back to the house.
Exactly, and
with the flower and spoiler not spoiler, this is the last shot.
Yeah.
Which is beautiful, and I love that they put that on the cover.
I love the grainy sort of film being used in the judgment scenes.
Yes.
In the courtrooms. I like it.
Mm-hmm.
Because it gives you a contrast between what is a documentary style and what is actually a film.
Right. Yes. I agree with that. I didn't really think that through, because either way, the entire film you can say is documentary, but it's also not.
I was the part where Kiarostami goes with his crew to the judge.
Yeah. Okay. Yes. Wait.
And I think the judge says, Mr. Kiarostami. You hear Kiarostami's name being mentioned.
Well, yes, you do. Yeah, but he also goes to Mr. Sabzian when he's being held.
When he's in prison. Yeah, and you see him. The camera films.
So now I think, I mean, a lot of this film I think was not scripted. I could be 100% wrong about that, because it just seems too legit for some of the things that are going on. Specifically, that scene where he meets with Mr. Sabzian outside of the prison cell, and he's like, "Who are you?" So I think that they filmed outside the window, and Kiarostami had a microphone on him. They're filming from outside of the window because he's like, you know, "Who are you?" And he's like, I'm a filmmaker." And then he's like, "Do I know you?" And he's like, you know, Kiarostami. And he's like, "Oh, I've seen some of your movies." And it's just like, what are we even doing here? This is like, just, it's cinema, man. I don't want to cry. It's ridiculous.
I beg to differ. I think everything was in the screenplay, like everything that we've seen, but the way the actors are playing is so casual and it's so real. And again, it's a documentary style sort of
because
film.
it happened to them, you know?
Because it happened to them, exactly. So they know what happened, so they can fully associate with you know, the environment with everything, what's being portrayed.
Yeah. And that first scene still sticks out in my mind with the journalist, that he's like following this story about a director or a person who's impersonating a filmmaker, and he says that he's going to be famous because of it. So there's a lot of like fame versus poverty floating around in the film in general.
The forgiveness scene is one of the best. Again, it's so hard. You feel so sorry for the guy, and when the judge says, "Are you truly sorry for what you've done? Will you do it again?" And we're like, "No." And you see it. He actually says this very sincerely. "I'll never do it again."
But it's the people that he did it to that also give forgiveness to him.
Yeah, and I love what I think is the patriarch of the family, like the bourgeois character, who says, "I will pardon him on the condition that he will make himself useful for society."
Yes.
I said, wow, those people actually trust this guy, and they can just let this slide down, even though the guy took like what 19,000 toman or whatever is the currency in Iran.
Yeah. But it was his, you know, he pleaded his case that he wasn't going to use this, and he said he wouldn't even let it go that far if they were like, "Oh, let's make a film or whatever." I want to talk about that point where it flashes back the second time to when they're in the living room in the house. Because what it seems like is when Sabzian is explaining about the rehearsal, it makes it seem like we're looking at something that happened in the past, but it's like someone comes back 2 minutes later to the house that makes you see that it's like we're in the past, but we're still going back to that point from a different perspective, like we said before. Where we're in the beginning again, which I loved. Last thing I want to say, this is what I wrote down, my last general thought about the film. I said, this is a guy who is so passionate about film that he has a trial for impersonating a director, and because of this, he was put into Kiarostami's film.
Well, his case was so appealing to Kiarostami that Kiarostami made the film, which says a lot, you know, coming from a director making a film about impersonating a director. I think it's a statement. The thing that I want to touch upon is the scene when they're still in the courtroom, and the judge is asking Mr. Sabzian, "So you played a director, will you play yourself?" And that's the moment when he just looks towards the camera and he doesn't say anything, which is a very ambiguous answer that he's giving us without telling us anything. Will he play himself now? That he's looking at us, or is he still going to be playing the part within the film? Which is not truly his true. That was him in the past. It's not him anymore in the present. So
Yeah.
That's the last thing.
I mean, I recommended this film in general because I think that there's no better film to express this type of feeling about art and about how much passion people have for art and what lengths they would go to do something like this that other people might not understand because of their status.
Exactly.
Like classism and things like that.
Exactly.
So this is fantastic. For me, it was a 4.5 the first watch. It went up to a 5 now because it's one of my personal favorite criterions that I own.
It's a 4.5 for me now, and I think it's gonna go to a 5 as soon as I rewatch it. It's gonna go to a 5. So I'm really thankful that you've
I felt like you needed to see it.
Because it was on my radar, it was on my watch list, and I was actually thinking of blind buying it this upcoming sale.
It's a 4.3 on Letterboxd, so
it's a 4. Exactly.
The people know.
The people know, man. The people know.
All right, so let's get into the film that we're going to be watching.
So I haven't told you before we started recording.
No, I know nothing.
You know nothing. You just know I've been pestering you for the past week or so that we're going to be examining one of the best badass films ever made by Hollywood. Post the Hays Code, which is post 1965. This is when the censorship has been taken down, and this is in the year of The Graduate of 1967. And I bring you. I don't have it. It's not.
Okay.
I don't have it physical.
I bring you.
I bring you. From the cloud. Okay. Have it electronically. It's called Point Blank.
Okay, I have heard of this.
You have heard of this?
Yeah, Point Blank. Yeah, but I don't know why I've heard of it.
Probably because I told you.
But you didn't say the name of it. So now.
No, that was like a year ago when I watched it. Maybe. Or a year and a half ago when I watched it.
Maybe, yeah.
Point Blank. I'm not gonna say anything about the film. All I'm gonna say is, for those who've seen it, you know what I'm talking about. Lee Marvin is the epitome of badass in the film. I mean, you want to be the guy.
Would you be him for Halloween? Is it that much of a badass that you're like, yeah, you know what?
I would, if I was like 56 and with white hair.
Okay.
I would. But the way the movie is shot, the way the colors are, the story itself, maybe you won't like the ending, but the more you rewatch it, the more you fall in love with it.
Okay. All right.
It's a mix of a heist and revenge film.
Sounds exciting. I'm ready.
And it takes place in the greatest city in America, Los Angeles.
Okay. All right.
And this is considered to be a neo-noir. So I'll be showing you throughout the entirety of the summer. I'm going to be showing you and the people watching some neo-noir stuff.
Okay.
Which I'm super excited. I'm super excited to share with you all.
Alrighty. Okay. Well, that concludes our discussion. Thank you for watching.
Well, thank you very much for watching, ladies and gentlemen. And we hope that we're going to catch you on the next video.
Yes.
Analyzing the greatest badass film put by the American studio system, Point Blank.
That's a wrap. Take care.
That's a wrap.
See ya.